Hello, this is Gigi trying to do a 3-minute recap of the Save Your Hands demonstration that I did the other day. Basically, you're going to be using gravity and levers and physics to do the work and save your hands. Hopefully this is different than what you got in massage school. So number one is use gravity. Lean into it. Get behind that stroke. Lean into it as much as you can. Use gravity. Put it to work. We're also going to use gravity with levers. So levers are basically going to be like when I reach underneath someone, curl up my fingers. I've got my forearms on the edge of the table. So now all I have to do to lift up or get my trigger point or even do my stroke is to lean forward. So I'm relaxing my abdomen to push my arms up. So I'm using relaxation to create momentum and push. So now let's say I've got a really heavy person. I need 10 more pounds or so to kind of get this person lifted. I'm going to put my head 1 inch further. So I'm going to take my 42-pound head and I'm going to use it to my advantage. The other thing I can do is relax my abdominal muscles more. But the trick is to use relaxation to create movement, leverage, and to put gravity to work. Now, the nice thing about reaching underneath the person is I'm going to have their body weight and the gravity on their body weight, basically providing the pressure for me. So all I have to do is curl my fingers up, find my thing, keep my fingers together to support them, and do my strokes and let their body weight kind of do a lot of the work for me, assisted by gravity. So you want to make sure that everything is kept aligned. When you do a trigger point, don't let your wrist cock one way, ulnar, radial deviate. Don't let your fingers hyperextend. I got into this because my hands hyperextend and I knew that that was going to be a pretty bad deal in the long run. So you want to make sure that everything is aligned. Your elbow is over your wrist, is over your fingers are straight. A lot of times I will use, if I need to do a trigger point, I don't do them very often, but I will use my middle finger instead of a thumb. If I am going to use a thumb, I might put the thumb down and take another hand, or I might take my other thumb, but I will assist that thumb so that it doesn't bend backwards. I've known just too many massage therapists whose thumbs bend backward in an L, and once you stretch those ligaments, they are kind of stretched for good. They don't generally go back very easily. Let's see. You also want to consider that less is more. You don't want to force those tissues. Instead, you'll get a better result. It'll hurt less for the client. It'll actually last longer. If, let's say you get onto a trigger point and I engage it and then I wait, usually 7 to 10 seconds, and I let the tissues unwind and release on their own. I'm not going to force my way into that tissue. Instead, I wait for the tissue to let me into it, and then I work with it. And it just works a lot better, and it hurts a lot less for everybody. So if you don't take care of you, you won't be able to help other people. So you really do need to take care of your hands. They're the best tools you've got, so really do take care of them. If they do get injured, general strain protocol is RICE, R-I-C-E. It's an acronym for rest, ice, compression, elevation. You want to do that for at least the first 48 hours as much as you can. You can use kinesio tape, and there are great videos out there. KT Tape has the best videos. Kinesio Tex Gold is my favorite kinesio tape, and that's partly because it doesn't stick so hard like rock tape. Rock tape sticks really hard. KT tape sticks really hard, which is great for athletic stuff. But I've got a lot of clients who are older with thin skin. I'm older with thin skin. And sometimes when we take that tape off, we take off a layer of skin. So I want something that doesn't stick quite as hard as rock tape. So I like the Kinesio Tex Gold. If you do get injured, I will encourage you to do kind of a flossing thing. You want to take that sheath that goes around the tendons and the ligaments and the nerves, and you want to floss the structure inside of it. So flossing generally looks kind of like this. There's actually great videos on nerve flossing for like the radial, medial, ulnar nerves. So if you know that, you know, these fingers are being affected, it's the ulnar nerve, medial nerve, radial nerve generally. And you can look up radial nerve flossing and you'll see something that looks a little like this. But there's better videos out there that will show you how to do it. However, while I'm driving to work, I'm often doing this kind of thing and flossing those tendons, ligaments, and muscles of my forearm, which are running my hand. I'll do that while I'm driving to the office. You want to nip it in the bud in the first 6 weeks. If you do, then you're usually pretty good. If you don't, then you might as well settle in for about an 18-month injury that's going to need a lot of support while it just kind of does its thing. I don't know why it's, you know, fix it in the first 6 weeks, or you might as well settle in for 18 months, but that does seem to be a pretty predictable pattern. Arnica. So I have arnica in my office. This one happens to be for bruises, but arnica in general is also good for sprains and strains, and it has no smell, and it's homeopathic, which means less is more. So if you want a stronger treatment, you actually put less on. And I know that seems counterintuitive, but that's how homeopathics work. Epsom salt soaks. You can take Epsom salt, put it in a bucket. It's usually about, I think, a cup for a big bucket. Nice warm soak. You know, put your hands in it, put your feet in it, but for sure, you know, put your hands in it, or put a couple of cups into a bathtub and soak your whole body in it. So Epsom salts create a concentration differential, and so it's gonna pull some excess fluid out of you, but also put magnesium in. So there's kind of a double benefit there. Lymphatic drainage. So when you do lymphatic drainage of an area that's inflamed, you're literally only pressing the skin 1 to 2 millimeters. Beyond that, it's not going to be as effective. So you're literally petting the skin just enough to barely move it towards the heart. Now, ideally you would have opened this up and then opened this up and then opened this up, and then you would do the drainage. But you'll still get even some effect if you do you can do some pumping, but you want to do the petting towards the heart. You can do myofascial release on yourself. So I was taught, you take that forearm, you put it down, maybe this side's hurting you. I'm gonna do this side. Find that really key spot. You're gonna take this edge of your other forearm if you can. If not, you can take the palmar edge of your hand, but you're gonna sink into the tissue until you've got it. Give it a little twist, and then you're gonna stretch it. And by the way, if you kind of do this with trigger points, they melt faster if you add a little myofascial release. So we've got an angle of tissue, we're gonna hook into it, we're gonna stretch it and open it up. Although my hand, I'm not sliding across, I'm not doing this with it. It's not like a muscle stripping. It's sinking into the tissue, and then you're gonna take everything with you, a quarter, half an inch, at the very most an inch, but my guess is you're generally gonna go about a quarter to a half an inch. And then pick up, if you need to do another one, move that. This is what it looks like with a forearm. Twist. Oh yeah, that's a good one. And now I've got my elbow really getting into, oh, that brachioradius. It's good though. So the other thing you can do is traction. Each joint, you only want a traction, again, 1 to 2 millimeters. I know that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that's enough to stimulate those stretch receptors to start releasing the hyaluronic acid. That's your WD-40. So if you've got like a clicky, sticky joint, and then you go and you just, so I'm gonna open this one up 1 to 2, this one up 1 to 2, probably even this one up. So I'm gonna pull it maybe 5 centimeters. It's not a whole lot. I'm gonna hold it for about 7 to 10 seconds is my magic number. Some people need more. Most people, it's 7 to 10 seconds. You'll feel it elongate, and then you're done. And usually what was clicky and sticky, it should now be more slidey glidey. You can do that to fingers. You can do that to your wrist by anchoring it. Some people hold it between their knees and then pulling back. But you can traction your own hands and wrists and get lubrication going pretty quickly. Motion is lotion. They have found recently that by stretching fascia, activating those stretch receptors does release hyaluronic acid. So that really truly is your WD-40. And so that's worth doing. I think that's all I wanted to say. So thanks.